Hello, welcome back to the channel, and we'll be doing the preseason rankings today of my own opinion here. And this is going to vary greatly. I'm going to try to do this every week. I don't know, maybe like a Tuesday or a Wednesday or something. We'll try to figure it out once we get down there eventually. But thought it'd be a good way to start the weekend. We're first weekend of August right now. Yeah. So it's a good time, I think, to start getting going into college football and really start, getting after it. These rankings will have zero weight on my week one rankings, or I guess technically week zero after week zero. And like for week zero, like if you play, you're going to be ranked. If you don't play, you're not ranked. It's just going to be how it is for me. And I have preseason rankings have zero pull on what happens throughout the season. That's just the way I'm going to do it. And it's going to be week by week, not like power rankings, but literally you got to build your resume from scratch. I view every team like the worst team in the country. Every team here is like, New Mexico State or UMass, and you got to show me, right? So we'll start here. Number 30, also receiving votes, UCLA. Now, they lost their quarterback. They lost, the running back. They lost some offensive line pieces, a lot of guys around that, and they really got to show me what they're doing. I like what they're doing, bringing in Dante Moore, bringing in Carson Steele, and all these other guys, but they got to keep showing me what they're doing. Now, 29, the Louisville Cardinals at the ACC. They have a new coach, Jeff Brom. I think they upgraded there. They lost Malik Cunningham, probably the best quarterback they've had statistically at the school. I say statistically because obviously Lamar Jackson was better, but they bring in Jeff Brom, his system. I believe Plummer came in from across the country. I think like from somewhere out west. He's now their coach or their quarterback. They've got a really, really, really good schedule draw. That is, they don't believe they don't play any of the big teams in the ACC. I think they miss Clemson and Florida State. So their schedule alone is going to keep them pretty high this season. So I have them sitting at 28, 29. 28 is going to be Kentucky. They upgraded at quarterback. That's right. They upgraded at quarterback. Devin Leary's a better quarterback. They really had some good additions on both sides of the ball. They've got a pretty nice schedule as well, have a lot of their big games at home. I think that they're going to be a solid 9-win team, maybe even 8-9 win team. Could sneak around and get 10 if they really, really do that thing. Obviously, these two teams play each other in Kentucky and Louisville, but Bob Stoops got a real good thing going on up in Kentucky, and it's really not talked about. I think he's one of the better programs of the last few seasons. Obviously, in a basketball school, it's tough to have the resources go to the football team, but he's making people show up to Kroger Field and pay attention to what's going on. But yeah, if Devin Leary stays healthy, this team's gonna be really good. Maryland is up next. This is about the time of year everyone starts believing in Maryland again. They remind me of Cliff Kingsbury coached teams like the Cardinals, where they start off hot, and then as soon as football starts getting played tough around second half of I would say October into November, they kind of fall apart completely. So unfortunately for them, they're going to probably do the same thing with Mike Locksley and Talia Tagovailoa, but beginning of the season, they're world beaters always. So I might even have them rank them higher throughout the year. But as of now, they're sitting here down at number 27. Number 26, Ole Miss. They lost obviously some major players on defense, even though the defense isn't the best. They lost what's it called, Mingo on offense, and they kind of were a fraudulent top 10 team last year because the SEC, hype and got absolutely out of control. But they got a pretty loaded quarterback room. They brought in some really good transfers on receiver, and they bring back the best running back in the country, Quinshon Judkins. So I have them there at 26, just barely outside of the top here. Up next, we've got Iowa, 25. Really good defense, solid all around team, right? And the biggest issue is they had one of the worst quarterbacks in the country last year. I mean, this is going to be a crazy analogy. I'm going to say sorry in advance, but you can think of it like the Jets last year, right? Really good defense, really good special teams, some weapons on offense, right? But they just had no quarterback. Now they have a quarterback in Cade McNamara. They're bringing another tight end and Eric All, both from Michigan. The two captains from Michigan last season, and help with the big turnaround from Michigan, from the depths of hell into a perennial champion of the conference. And now they're over in Iowa, have an easy schedule. They don't have Michigan. They don't have Ohio State. They have to probably play one of those two in Indy, but that only tough game, I believe, is on the road at Penn State in terms of games that I don't believe they'll be favored in. But I think the SEC, or excuse me, I think the Big Ten West is theirs for the taking. And I will not be surprised if they find themselves in the top 15, top 10 at the end of the year and playing Michigan or Ohio State with like one win, with like one loss. So we'll see how that goes. Texas Tech is up next. They are 24. Really, really strong end of the season last year. As I've said in a few videos, I think that they're ready to take over the Big 12 once the conference expands and they lose Texas and Oklahoma in terms of recruiting and stuff. But Joey McGuire's doing his thing. I think it's like Tyler Shaw. No, it's I don't know what the guy's name is. Like it was something good, but he's a good quarterback. They took care of business against Ole Miss in the bowl game last year. They had a good strong end of the season, and I think they're ready to roll. I think that they're very, very, very live dog against Oregon in week 2, and if they win that game, watch out. They could really make some noise and even be a dark horse TCU type contender this year. Up next, we've got Illinois. I know they lost a significant amount with Chase Brown and Devin Witherspoon, right, to the best player probably on either side of the ball for them last year. That being said, they're similar to Michigan, similar to Iowa in that they don't play Ohio State or Michigan. They have Penn State at home as well at noon. So I think it's 11 o'clock their time. But I think it's going to be a very important season for these guys, right? Because last year you had Bielema come in. If they have another really good season, Bielema could be a wanted name across college football again. As old as he's getting, it's crazy. I mean, if you're one of these big programs, you're like, wait, he turned Illinois into what? You think of him like maybe being offensive coordinator at Bama or something because the way they want to run the football. But his D line's great, his O line's great. They got Luke Altmyer, I think it is. He's the transfer from Ole Miss, and they're bringing in some more running backs. They've got some pieces on both sides of the ball, but they're going to be a real good defensive team, slugging it in the trenches. And when these two teams, Iowa and Illinois, play each other, it's going to be an absolute defensive bloodbath. So I'm excited for that game. Up next, we've got Drake May. I mean, UNC. No, I did that on purpose. Drake May comes in at number 22. It's his team, right? He's the guy. He's all they have. If their defense has a pulse, they'll be a good team this season. If their defense continues to stink, they're screwed and they waste a generational talent quarterback. That's pretty much what I have for there. Obviously, you see the video I have on them. But up next, we have 21, the Wisconsin Badgers. Now, Wisconsin, they're the most interesting team this year. I was featured on Unnecessary Roughness a few weeks ago, the Barstool podcast, where I said that they're the most hard team to read. They have an air raid style offense in theory with the leftover of a ground and pound, 3 yards in the cloud of dust offense, traditional Wisco. Good defensive stuff going on. If he could do it, he being Luke Fickell, could do it at Clemson, could do it at Cincinnati, right? He's obviously able to do it at Wisconsin with that many more resources in a weaker division for 1 year. It's a good get right year for them. I don't know if they're going to win the conference. I'm predict win the side of their conference, excuse me, the division. I predict Illinois to do that or Iowa, probably Iowa, but I think it's a good get right year for them. And I think with Braylon Allen in this air raid, it's going to be super interesting to see what happens. Obviously, Tanner Mordecai as well, the transfer from SMU. He's an absolute demon and he loves to sling the ball around. We saw it against Maryland, in a Big Ten type game a few years ago. I think it was actually last year, but it's very going to be interesting to see what they do, right? Because they've got such a good thing potentially, or it could go horrifically wrong. And we'll find out pretty quickly. So I have them here at 21 because I think it's going to go pretty well. At number 20, we have the Aggies of Texas A&M. Right, I had a video, not a video on them, but yeah, a video did come out on them. Actually, I'm not thinking about it. They with them, teams ready to take the next step. Unbelievable pass defense. If they get any sort of offense with Bobby Petrino, this team's gonna make a lot of noise, and I think that will happen. So that's why I have them here at number 20. I think they could be a 10-win season. Pretty much every team above this, I think, is going to win 10 games. But that's what I have for now, and I think that if they beat Alabama, if they upset LSU or some of these other teams, right? Even Tennessee on the road, I think that's a good resume stuffer, and they could find themselves high on my list. Because again, my list is about resumes and who's the best team in the country, all starting from zero. But obviously, you can't do that right now. But up next, we've got the Oregon State Beavers coming in at number 19. They are a very solid team, returning a lot on offense. Maybe upgrading with DJ Uiagalelei. I think they are, but that's just what a lot of people are saying. Now, as for their defense, right, it's just as good as it was last year. And they were an unbelievable team last year. I think they had 10 wins, I believe, if I'm correct, beating Florida in the bowl game. Granted, Florida had a billion opt-outs, but they still beat them soundly. I think it was at the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl. or something. I don't know. I think it might have been a Florida Bowl. Actually, I have no idea, but I know they killed them. It was like 40-9 or something stupid, but they're ready to roll. I think they're one of the sneaky dark horse teams out in the Pac-12. Obviously, behind Washington, behind South Carolina, USC, excuse South Carolina, behind USC, behind Oregon, but maybe even behind Utah. Right? They're probably the fifth best team in their conference on paper, but we know that the Pac-12 loves to eat itself alive, and they can find themselves winning this conference. Maybe not make the playoff, but winning this conference with 2 losses. So something to really look out for is the Beavers out there in Corvallis. We have our only group of five team on the list in the top 30. They come in at number 18, the Tulane Green Wave. Obviously, they're bringing back a ton. They lost Tajai Spears to the Titans. Yes, the Titans. I always get him and Dwayne McBride confused, the UAB running back. That's now in the Vikings. But yeah, Tajai Spears, a backup to Derrick Henry now, along with Hassan Haskins in Tennessee. But they bring back everything else. Michael Pratt is going to be one of the names talked about in the Heisman, probably just because of the stupid numbers he's going to put up in the American. This is a team I think that could be ripe for conference expansion. Obviously, they used to be in the SEC. You know, if the ACC loses a team or two, do they take Tulane? I think it'd be a great add to any Power Five team or even the Big 12. I think Tulane plays Big 12 style. You know, they're doing their thing. Great coach, legendary coach. But I think that this is obviously the team that's going to be the Group of Five team getting the automatic bid if it was next year's playoff, but it's not. I think they'll find themselves within the top 10 at the end of the season. That's my boldest prediction. And the game between them and Ole Miss is going to be an awesome game. They beat Ole Miss. They might be in my top 5 after like week 2 or 3. So we'll look out for that one. Speaking of teams that are running their conference, Kansas State, like I said in the video on them, the most forgotten team to win their conference last year by far. Everyone thinks of the Big 12, they think of TCU, but no, they lost last year. This is Kansas State's team, reigning conference champion Kansas State. Will Howard is back. They're doing their thing as well. I think that similar to what I was saying about Texas Tech, everything holds the same for Kansas State. Really good team. Got hot at the end of the year. They lose Deuce Vaughn. They lose Adrian Martinez, but Will Howard kind of replaced him anyway. And they lose some corners on defense, but they bring back a really good offensive line. Cooper Beebe is probably the best non-tackle we've seen in a quite a long time. He could be a guard going in the first round, which is like basically unheard of. Last interior lineman I could think of that went in the first round was like Frank Ragnow and Cesar Ruiz, the Michigan and Arkansas guys. I know Frank Ragnow's on the Lions, so he definitely went soon. I know Cesar Ruiz is on the Saints, but those are just guys I can think off the top of my head. But yeah, they come in at 17 after a lot of returning production outside of their running back position. But one would think, just like the NFL, it's pretty easy to replace running backs in college, in theory, especially behind that good of an offensive line. So watch out for the Wildcats this year, making some noise. Number 16, I've got the Utah Utes. I wanted them higher, but with Carson, what's it called? Cam Rising. See, I was going to say Carson Strong. Cam Rising being a question mark, it's something you got to worry about for sure. He's the heart and soul of this team. They lose Dalton Kincaid. They lose Clark Phillips. Some guys, probably the second best player on offense and the best player on defense. And now they have to really see what Kyle Whittingham can do. Can he reload again? If Cam Rising's okay, this team's going to be great. If not, they're in trouble. But I think he will be fine. They're going to beat Florida. Good Power 5 win early. Get him high up my rankings. But yeah, that's pretty much what I got on Utah. It's as far as their quarterback. He is practicing recently. So if he's healthy, they're going to be flying back up this chart here. If he's not healthy, they will lose to a horrible Florida team, and it's going to be bad. Top 15 time, we've got the Tennessee Volunteers. They got a really good scheme on offense. Obviously, I've talked about them a few times now with important games and teams ready to take the next step, and they had their own standalone video, but not much to add in terms of that stuff. If the gimmick offense continues to work, it'll be losing the title gimmick in my eyes and be probably the best offense in the country, maybe behind USC. But it's something that we really got to see how it pans out. If teams start to stop it and they start running the ball, they have the personnel to do it, but I don't know if they've got the confidence to do it. But that being said, I think that they're going to do pretty well this season. They'll be the second best team in the SEC East. Probably lose 2, maybe 3 games this year. I think A&M could definitely beat them, and that's one of my bigger upsets I'm thinking about this year. Very interested to see what that spread is going to be. But it all starts and ends with Joe Milton. If I was them, the dream season for me, if I'm Tennessee, is you lose to Florida, or you beat them like super sloppily with defense. You pull Joe Milton, put in Nico Iamaleava, and you run from there. And then you go undefeated, run the table, and you're in the playoff. That's just my opinion, but who knows? Again, I'm an armchair GM, like I always like to joke. So up next, we've got the Boomer Sooner first team, probably the team with the worst record last season. That's this high, I would say. Maybe Wisconsin as well, but obviously they're higher. I love Oklahoma this year, man. I am so high on the Sooners. I love what Venables is doing. He's got a chip on his shoulder. Dylan Gabriel comes back. They bring in my guy, Andrew Anthony from Michigan, as a receiver. He'd probably be a real good guy there. They've got a lot of good trench play, man. They've got Jackson Arnold as well behind Dylan Gabriel in case he goes down. Eric Gray, they did lose his running back. I don't know who they're going to replace him with. Being totally honest off the top of my head, I have no idea. But I think that they're building that defense out. It couldn't get as bad as it was last year. They had a lot of one-score losses. Obviously, they hung with Florida State in the bowl game. I know Florida State had some opt-outs, but they did hang with them for a little bit. But I'm very high on the Sooners this year, and I think that they are going to win the Big 12 this year, and they could really find themselves on the doorstep of the playoff. But we'll be in the premier New Year's Six bowls. Speaking of the Big 12, I got Texas right in front of them. Just they're more a talented roster on paper, so they got to get the nod in the preseason rankings. That's just kind of how it works here. I know it's more of a not. It should be more of a predictive thing for me, but Texas has got a lot going on. They've got a lot of really good players. Obviously, Xavier Worthy, probably one of the best receivers in the country. In addition to Quinn Ewers, if he's healthy, if he's pre-Alabama game or during Alabama game, Quinn Ewers, then they're going to probably win the conference. If it's not, they're in big trouble. And we might even see Arch Manning or Malik Murphy take the field this year. But we'll see how that all goes. They've got returning, I think, every player on the offensive line, which is crazy. They're starting to really beef up the recruiting on defense and skill positions as well. So they're getting ready to go. But it could get bad for Texas, man. If they don't win the conference this year, it's like, hey, look, you couldn't win your conference in like 15 years or even play for it. I think they played for it like once or twice in the last few seasons. But really, it's been a big fall from grace since their title in early 2000s. It's a BCS championship, so who really cares? Up next, I've got Notre Dame. I don't like Notre Dame. They're cowards for not joining a conference. The fact that they get an auto bid into the playoff is stupid. But they'll be number 12 here. Sam Hartman, it all starts in Sam Hartman. The team ready to take the next step, like I said in the video the other day. Sam Hartman, right? That's what it is. Their defense is good. Their offense is always usually pretty decent, like tight ends and O line. Running backs are all right. Receivers haven't been good since Golden Tate, but Sam Hartman, best quarterback they've had since Ian Book. Ian Book got him to the playoff. I'm not saying they'll make him in the playoff, but I'm saying Sam Hartman is that dude. Number 11, the man himself, Dan Lanning, Bo Nix, and the rest of the guys, Bucky Irving out there in Oregon. Not Dante Moore, not Aaron Scott, but I think they're building a really good thing. Will this be a Big Ten team soon? I think that's the biggest storyline on the team this season. But I do think they're prepped and ready to go make a big step going forward. And they are probably one of the more under talked about teams in the Pac-12. I know everyone's out here going crazy about USC. I'm personally crazy for Washington, but I think it's going to go Washington, Oregon, USC number 3. That's my bold prediction for that conference is USC doesn't even play for the championship game. That might be crazy, but it is what it is. Florida State, darlings of the offseason. They brought in a ton on the portal. I think they had the best portal class out there. A lot of good defense, a few good skill position guys like Keon Coleman coming in. Jordan Travis, a likely Heisman candidate, is going to be obviously leading the team from under center. I guess it may be shotgun. I don't even know how their offense works, but they got Trey Benson, the running back as well. Really good offense. Jaheim Bell, freak show coming in from what is that? From South Carolina. They got Johnny Wilson's like a 6'10" basically receiver. I think he's 6'7" actually, but a lot of good offense. Jared Verse, probably one of the best defensive players. Probably I would say the best defensive player in the country. Maybe him or Harold Perkins, 1-2. But we'll see how they all come out there. But yeah, watch out for the Seminoles. Tomahawk chopping their way back to the relevance in the ACC. They're going to lose, be second in the ACC. 2 losses this season. 3 losses. LSU and 2 times to Clemson. Penn State, number 9. You got to, it's almost like a, blank or get off the pot sort of type thing this year for them. This is their year, apparently. I think I would say actually next year's their year, but this is their year before their year. Drew Aller is finally in. They've gotten rid of Sean Clifford, which I think they might regret more than they think. But they've got Nick Singleton. They've got Creighton Allen. They've got a really good offensive line, really good defensive line. Those the trench play is unbelievable. I call them Michigan light. That's not a shot. That's a compliment in my book. But They've got a little bit better play at receiver. Dante Cephas is the most under talked about, underappreciated transfer ad this season. I would say he's a top 10 receiver in my books. You'll see that video coming out soon. But yeah, I think they're really ready to roll. This is potentially their year to do it. And I think they do beat Ohio State this year. Not really, but I could see it. They're going to go another 10-2, probably go to the Rose Bowl. Actually, not the Rose Bowl this year, but they'll go to a big time near six bowl, maybe even play Tulane in like the Cotton Bowl or something fun. But that's just what I got. Number 8, Alabama. I want to start this off. Chase McClellan will be in New York for the Heisman. Boldest prediction, I think, of the year, probably. They're going to pound the rock. They said last year they were too Bryce Young centric, and granted, they should be because he's that good, but watch out for him. I think Chase McClellan's going to go crazy this year. That offensive line is good. That defense is really good. Dallas Turner, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Watch out for that defense as well. But they're going to get back to that really good defense, really good offensive line, and their quarterback's going to be a game manager. Who's a quarterback? I don't care. I really don't if I'm Alabama, right? As long as you can make some throws, you're fine. I mean, Buckner is probably your safest option. I think the most upside is Ty Simpson, and Milroe is kind of a combination of the two. He's pretty average as well. So it really doesn't matter who it is, but as long as they can hand the ball off to McClellan and get out of the way, I think they're fine. After that, I got the South Carolina. I keep saying that, man. SC. I've been talking to my SEC guys recently because SC is in my brain, but the real SC, USC, Southern California, excuse me again. Caleb Williams reigning Heisman. It's that simple. Their defense sucks. It's like UNC on steroids, right? Caleb Williams is good. They got a good. They brought in Marshawn Lloyd, the running back from South Carolina, the other SC. Really good offensive line. Sneaky good updates there. Brought in that receiver. I think it's like Dorian Singer, I think is his name, from Arizona. Really good job there out of the portal. Super sneaky additions, but it's the defense. If the defense is good, they're going to be up here. If the defense is bad, they'll be down here. That's just is what it is. I think defense is not that good, so I think that they're going to be down there more. So that's just me. Pac-12 champion Washington coming in here. They're going to have to do a lot this year, I think, to build on last year. Michael Penix was the leading passer last year, had the most yardage, not really talked about. He'll also be a Heisman candidate. I think your Heisman candidates are 1, 2, 3, and then someone up here. But I think that they're ready to roll. They've got, their big Polynesians in the trenches. They've got some good running backs. They've got Michael Penix, who's an elite quarterback. They've got 2 NFL wide receivers. They've got a really good defense. They've got some good guys. I think like Braylon Trice or Rice, one of the guys, Braden Trice, something like that. Really good player on defense. And I think they're ready to take the next step. And I think that I would not be surprised if they're in that playoff discussion. Not the top 4, but the 2 teams in the middle, or it's 5 and 6. I think we could definitely see them there this season, and they'll be in probably the top bowl. I think Washington, Alabama would be an unbelievable game in terms of a New Year's Six bowl. That's just me. Now we have the top 5 here. Clemson, number 5. I want to put them a bit higher, but that's just where I'm at right now with Clemson. Bring back a lot, right? Their defense, they lost a few guys. A lot of them were injured. Jeremiah Trotter is an absolute animal. They've got some 2 freaks up in front, defensive tackles. Their linebackers are good. Their secondary is getting better. Need to upgrade the receiver position a bit, but that is what it is. Cade Klubnik, I really do like. Will Shipley would be on my short list for the Heisman as well, probably in my top 10. But they bring a lot back. Dabo's here. They had no offensive coordinator realistically last year. The guy was terrible. They bring in Garrett Riley, the man that made TCU good. Now he's got better skills, better portal action. Not much portal action because it's Dabo, but better facilities, better everything up in Clemson. I guess up and over a little bit up and over in the Clemson from coming in from Dallas. But I think Garrett Riley is going to be the key for this team. He's going to do something crazy, go really good here, and then get a big time college job when one of these teams fires their dudes. But number 4, Ohio State, the Ohio State, they stink, but they are the 4th best team in the country. If their defense can figure it out, they're fine. They have no quarterback. Doesn't really matter because they've had Heisman quarterbacks in the past and haven't been able to beat Michigan recently, or really win of anything of note in terms of the college football playoff or championships. That's their standards and their words, not mine. But we'll see how that all plays out. Really good receivers, obviously, good running backs, questionable offensive line, pretty good defense up front. Their secondary stinks though, so you can not really run it on them, but you can throw it on them. I mean, JJ mid Carthy in their eyes, threw it all over him. Dude named Cornelius absolutely killed him. So, and then Donovan Edwards ran right through that good defensive front. So, hey, listen, I'm just saying what they're saying, but obviously I'm a Michigan fan for those of you visiting the channel. So I just want to put that in there. But yeah, number 3, LSU Tigers. Blank that Tiger blank. That's the good go-to Alexa play next sort of thing. But yeah, I'm really high in LSU this year. Really good defense. That secondary upgrades, they're insane. Got good running backs, elite receivers, pretty good offensive line, and one of the best quarterbacks in the country, Jaden Daniels. I think he's going to be up there in terms of guys you want to see in New York. It's probably going to be him, Michael Penix, Caleb Williams, and Jordan Travis. That's just my short list. Who knows? I think there's going to be at least 2 Pac-12 quarterbacks there, which should be crazy, but it is what it is. If they can win every game, mostly started with Florida State, big game. If they can win every game up until they play Georgia in the championship game, then they'll be fine in the playoff. And I think that the top 3 will be in the playoff. But obviously, these 2 are the other 2 teams. I'll just do it right now. Why not? But we'll see. Whatever. I'll just wait. We'll see how it all turns out with LSU. But I believe in Brian Kelly. Obviously, you don't want to be a camera operator for him. But other than that, dude knows what he's doing when he's coaching. And did it at Notre Dame. Had a really good season last year with what he was supposed to have a really bad down year. I think his win total was like 6 or something. He ended up getting, 10? So that's a good year. And they look to build on it and be an 11 or 12 win team this year, which I really do believe. And I think that they'll be playing Michigan in the playoff. Them or Clemson. That's my prediction. But Michigan number 2, bring back basically everything. And they're going to run the table again this year, 12-0, 13-0 in the Big Ten championship game. And, God forbid, or, God willing, they win a playoff game this year and hopefully play Georgia in the national championship down in Houston. But yeah, Georgia's going to run the table. They bring pretty much not everything back, but they reload. Brock Bowers, Lad McConkney, those guys will be really good. They've got Carson Beck, is the second coming of Matt Stafford. I guess they've been saying, you guys unbelievable apparently. So yeah, that's what I got for now. Here's my rankings. Roast me in the comments down below. What would you change? But this is what I got for now. So please like and subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace.